The sky outside the window gradually dimmed as dark clouds loomed overhead. The white curtains danced in the howling wind, their tassels hitting the wall with a tapping sound that inexplicably irritated the heart. Lin Chia sat by the bed, his eyes fixed on the sleeping Jelon, his right hand gently holding hers. Whether from grief or something else, his eyes carried a faint redness. Grief, pain, unwillingness, and anger churned within him. Without realizing it, he had been sitting there for 2 hours. Click. The door was pushed open as Jin Yen walked in from outside. Her pupils contracted slightly as she noticed Lin Chia's reddened eyes. Her brows immediately furrowed. After a moment of silence, she slowly spoke. "What are you doing here?" "Watching over her," Lin Chia answered calmly, his eyes not leaving Jelon. "She has immortality. Protecting her, she doesn't need you watching over her. Immortality isn't absolute. But there are no enemies here and no one can break her immortality. She's safe." Lin Chia didn't respond, just sitting there quietly. Seeing this, Jin Yen sneered, "You're not protecting her, you're just feeling guilty. You're punishing yourself this way." "So what?" Lin Chia retorted, then after a pause continued, "I've let her down." "You let her down and then what? You plan to do nothing but watch over her until the end of time? Do you think you're some tragic drama protagonist?" Jin Yen's eyes narrowed as she strode quickly to Lin Chia, suddenly grabbed his collar and yanked him up from the bed. Lin Chia's reddened eyes looked at Jin Yen before him with a hint of anger. "Lin Chia, wake up." A powerful pressure burst from Jin Yen as gales swept through the room. Gripping his collar, she growled, "Do you think sitting here like an idiot constantly condemning yourself will wake her up? Are you waiting for a miracle? Or hoping for mercy from fate? Don't tell me you're praying to some deity, hoping she'll open her eyes the next second and cry as she embraces you? You've been in this world so long, don't you understand that humans can triumph over heaven?" Hearing these words, Lin Chia froze, confusion appearing in his reddened eyes. She's just sleeping, not dead." Jin Yen's voice rose again. "You're the chosen one bearing the fortune of the divine asylum, destined to stand at the pinnacle of this world. Don't tell me you can't even achieve godhood. Once you become a god, won't you live for a very long time? You'll meet again sooner or later. Besides, are you just going to wait passively for her to wake up? Can't you actively search for ways to wake her earlier? There are so many deities involved with time laws in this world, there might be ways to help her consolidate the laws faster." Hearing these words, a glimmer of light appeared in Lin Chia's eyes. Right? If Jelon's immortality originated from time laws, perhaps there really were deities who could accelerate the immortality reconstruction process and wake her earlier? The redness in his eyes began to rapidly fade as rationality and clarity reclaimed his mind. Separation may cause sadness, but if you only know how to be sad, only know how to blame yourself, then you're just a coward avoiding reality. Jin Yen pointed at Jelon lying on the bed, staring into Lin Chia's eyes and said seriously, "Lin Chia, don't you love her? If you love her, you should do something for her. Go chop off the head of that beast who killed her, find a way to wake her up, then smile as you place that beast's head before her and say, 'Dear, look, this is the head of that idiot from back then. I chopped it off for you. Should we use it as a chamber pot or a dog bowl?' That's what it means to be a man." Lin Chia stood there dumbfounded, as if struck by lightning. After a long while, he finally came to his senses from her words, looking at the flushed Jin Yen before him with complex emotions, momentarily at a loss for words. "I understand." Lin Chia closed his eyes, gently massaging his temples with both hands, his expression somewhat struggling. "I'm sorry, I was in too deep just now, accidentally let the red moon's corruption affect my mind. My thoughts became extreme." Seeing Lin Chia return to normal, Jin Yen let out a slight sigh of relief and casually patted his shoulder. "It's fine, good that you're back. It's normal for a pure-hearted young man like you, hurt by love, to make some mistakes." Lin Chia. "Chairman, we need to go." The knight walked in quickly from outside, saying to Jin Yen with a serious expression, "The red moon's corruption of the 8-span mirror is getting worse. We don't have much time left." Jin Yen's expression gradually became solemn, her playful demeanor disappearing. She nodded slightly and said to Lin Chia, "The sword of ultimate evil is almost ready. We're about to completely destroy this human circle, and everything here will cease to exist. Come with us and bring your wife. After we leave here, I'll send you both back to Great Xia." Actually, I don't quite understand why you're so determined to destroy this human circle, Lin Chia asked. Amamiya Haruki's side is preparing to rescue everyone here, and if they succeed, this human circle will become an empty shell incapable of generating faith. Even if they fail, the Red Moon and corpse beasts will completely slaughter all life here, making faith generation impossible anyway. Your efforts to destroy the 8-span mirror seem meaningless. Meaningless? Jin Yen smiled mysteriously, raising her hand to point at the sky above. Don't forget what fuels this human circle's existence. Hearing these words, Lin Chia seemed to remember something. Lost souls? Your true purpose is to save those souls bound by the 8-span mirror. So many things had happened in the human circle that Lin Chia had almost forgotten. This human circle could sustain such a huge population because it was fueled by billions of human souls. Although Lin Chia had previously slashed Pure Land with his sword and reduced most of the power supply in this human circle, those souls hadn't been freed. Like barrels of unburned gasoline, they remained bound within the 8-span mirror, unable to enter reincarnation. That's right. Jin Yen nodded. According to what you said, either Amamiya Haruhiru's salvation or Red Moon's extinction could erase the reason for this human circle to exist. But who will save such a massive number of innocent souls? If we of Shanxia don't handle this, they will be trapped here forever, contaminated by the Red Moon, becoming tormented creatures similar to corpse beasts that exist in this world. Although we of Shanxia are not a charity organization, we can still lend a hand with things within our capability. Lin Chia silently observed Jin Yen for a moment, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth as he remarked. Today I finally understand what the legendary non-evil evil, supreme evil means. Alright, stop with the flattery, hurry up and bring your wife along. Jin Yen rolled his eyes. Lin Chia didn't answer. After hesitating for a moment, he turned back and walked into the room. When he came out again, there was a red-haired girl in nurse's uniform behind him, holding the sleeping Jialan in her arms. Please, take care of her. Lin Chia slowly said, after I leave here I'll have Hong Yen bring her back to find me. Jin Yen was slightly stunned. You're not coming with us? Lin Chia shook his head and smiled. The Magatama Sword Master is doing his utmost to save this country's people, while your Shanxia is saving those lost souls while destroying this human circle. I can't just leave, there are still people I care about in this human circle. Lin Chia turned his head to look at the reflection in the window across the street, where the words Essay Club were glowing in the dark sky. He paused for a moment, a cold killing intent flashing in his eyes. If I get the chance, perhaps I can do as you said, cut off that idiot's head, like a real man. You want to kill Susanoo? Jin Yen's mouth gaped open in shock. I only said that as a metaphor to give you some motivation, not to tell you to go kill him now. Are you really confident? Yes. Lin Chia said with certainty. Although the probability is slim, it exists. You're the crazy one, turns out you're the real madman. Jin Yen couldn't help but quip, turning his gaze to Jialan and Hong Yan's arms and shrugged. I got it, I'll take good care of your wife. Oh right, what I promised you before has been delivered. Lin Chia looked where Jin Yen was pointing, and saw a familiar apocalyptic painted McLaren quietly parked at the entrance of the club. Why is it a car? That thing is quite big and heavy. I was worried it would be inconvenient for you to transport, so I just embedded it in the car's underside. Jin Yen seriously instructed. That thing is a forbidden object called Heart of Purification. It's something that corpse beasts, these supernatural beings full of resentment, absolutely cannot tolerate. It can't help you damage the corpse beasts, but it can attract all the corpse beasts in this country. After gathering them together, how to kill them all becomes your headache. A forbidden object that can gather corpse beasts. Lin Chia's eyes immediately lit up. The most troublesome thing right now is the randomly appearing corpse beasts within the human circle. With this thing they could avoid exhausting themselves chasing corpse beasts all over the world, and instead actively attract them, turning passive into active. Although this Heart of Purification has no killing power in the current situation, it could demonstrate effectiveness comparable to a divine artifact. Thank you. Lin Chia sincerely expressed his gratitude. No need to thank me, remember you still owe me a favor. When you're in a hurry, try the red button. Jin Yen casually pulled a pixel-style car key from his pocket and threw it to Lin Chia, gave him one last look, then turned and walked out of the club. Farewell then, King of Hosts. I think it won't be long before we meet again in the mist. Jin Yen walked with one hand in his pocket, the other waving in the air as a goodbye, his tattered coat dancing in the fierce wind, quickly disappearing from Lin Chia's sight. Lin Chia stood there for a moment, smiled helplessly and opened the McLaren's door to sit inside. Vroom. As the vehicle started, a voice came from the radio. Good evening, listeners, this is Dawn Broadcasting. A few minutes ago, there were eyewitnesses who saw the white-robed god at the edge of Osaka. But according to witnesses, his movements were very slow, his face was pale as if he was injured. The reliability of this news is yet unknown. But at this moment we must prepare ourselves mentally to consider a perhaps unacceptable question. Can the white-robed god be injured? Before coming to Osaka, the white-robed god had been fighting continuously for nearly 30 hours, killing nearly 40 corpse beasts. Is he now at his limit? Just now, black giant beasts appeared simultaneously in the skies above 5 cities including Kumamoto, Kagawa, and Tottori. If the white-robed god falls, how will we defend against these giant beasts' attacks? Here we hope. Boom. Wait. What was that sound? It's a crack. A blood-colored crack has appeared in the sky above Tokyo. Here too has appeared a BZ. Amidst terrified screams, the radio's voice suddenly cut off, replaced by continuous static, and the world fell into dead silence. Lin Chia's brows furrowed tightly. In Osaka, determination flashed in his eyes as he immediately stepped on the gas pedal. With a deafening roar, the apocalyptic painted McLaren shot forward. The distance from Tokyo to Osaka was too far and he was carrying the heart of purification, unable to use cloud somersault to get there. Even at full speed, by the time Lin Chia reached Osaka, Yuzuru Hashira would probably be gone. At this moment, Jin Yen's last words suddenly surfaced in his mind. Red button. Lin Chia's gaze fell on the control panel beside him, where a red button was particularly eye-catching in the center. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Chia chose to trust Jin Yen and resolutely pressed that button. With a light click, 2 huge pixel wings extended from both sides of the car body. Terrifying propulsion force gushed out from the microturbines mounted on the wings, and under Lin Chia's shocked gaze, this McLaren, like a bird, climbed up from the ground and shot straight into the clouds. Holy shit! Lin Chia couldn't help but exclaim. Just then a crisp phone ring sounded. Lin Chia was startled, reached into his pocket to take out his phone, and froze when he saw the number on it. Hello. Lin Chia put the phone to his ear. Hello. Chia. Is that Chia? Bailey Pong Pong's voice came from the other end of the phone. Pang Pang. Lin Chia was stunned. How did you make this call? It's worth noting that Lin Chia wasn't in Daxiao now, nor in the mist, but inside the human circle of the Yata mirror. Theoretically, this phone's signal shouldn't be able to connect to Daxiao at all. Sister Jiang are connected to the electronic signals inside the human circle, and Brother Zhuai said he knew your phone number in the human circle. So we tried calling you and it actually went through. Jiang are connected to the human circle signal? Where are you now? Oh, we just passed through the mirror gap in the deep sea and we're still going through the ruins. Lin Chia froze for a moment, then spoke in surprise. You're also in the human circle? How did you know I was here? Hee hee, we got help from someone you'd never expect. Bailey Pang Pang said mysteriously. You'll know when we get there. Alright, the situation in the human circle is chaotic now, be careful, let's meet in Osaka. Roger that. Captain Lin. You just said you're still passing through the ruins? Yes. Lin Chia pondered for a moment, a glimmer flashing in his eyes. If it's on your way, help me get something. Baka. Air raid shelter. A woman holding a child followed a Black Kill Group member's guidance into the air raid shelter. The ground above rumbled and shook continuously as corpse beasts trampled the earth. Scattered gravel fell from the ceiling, spreading throughout the shelter, and the roars of nearby corpse beasts echoed like thunder above. Countless residents who couldn't escape in time crowded in the air raid shelter, curling their bodies into balls, their reddened eyes wide open, staring fixedly at the ceiling above, their faces filled with terror. The monsters are up there. They're right above us. I can hear their breathing. Is this place really secure? Won't it collapse under the monster's weight? My child. Has anyone seen my child? He's 14 years old, about this tall. Excuse me, have you seen my child? Please. He's still young, he can't survive without me. Get lost. You crazy woman, who has time to help you find your child? It's already chaos out there. Before coming in, I saw a little boy with half his body crushed on the roadside. Might be your kid. Stop wailing. If you attract the monsters here, I'll chop you up. You. He's right, woman, you'd better shut up. Where's the white-robed god? It's been so long, why hasn't the white-robed god come? Maybe he's saving people elsewhere? What the hell? Are other people's lives worth more than mine? Isn't he supposed to be the god of salvation? Why isn't he coming to save me? In the dark, low-ceilinged air raid shelter, crying, cursing and growling mixed together, turning into complete chaos. Under extreme fear, most people's eyes had turned red, and an atmosphere of frenzy and violence spread rapidly underground. I know how to lure away those monsters. Quick, tell us what we should do. Don't those monsters like to kill people? Let's push some people out as bait, let them attract the monsters' attention, lure them away from above us, then we'll be safe. Yes, that's how we'll be safe. Let's push out that crazy woman crying about her child. She's making so much noise, she'll attract the monsters sooner or later. And that kid over there, young people run fast. Can lead the monsters further away. Damn it, kid, what are you looking at? Don't like it? I'll kill you right now. I think that little girl in the corner would work too. From the crowd, several men with the reddest eyes stood up, somehow producing knives and rocks, walking towards the women and children in the corner with twisted expressions. Except for those being targeted, who struggled and cried out, others sat silently in corners as if not seeing this scene, turning their heads away, their eyes filled with endless indifference. Some even stood up to help those men throw the women and children out. Under the red moon's contamination and extreme fear, they had all lost their sanity, becoming executioners with blood-stained hands. Those who were chosen could only be forcibly driven out of the air raid shelter under the threat of death. The corpse beasts' roars echoed in their ears. Some were frozen in place with fear. Then a giant palm fell, crushing them instantly. The remaining people finally came to their senses, crying as they ran away quickly. Seeing the corpse beast successfully lured away by these people, the man who suggested this idea showed a smile. But at that moment, several hands suddenly grabbed him, forcibly pushing him out too. Those few won't run far, you're so strong, you should last longer, right? He turned back to see several others pointing knives at him, saying with cold smiles. The big man's eyes widened, the redness in them blood-like. A fierce expression appeared on his face as he pulled out a knife and stabbed it into the heart of the man beside him. Dare to plot against me? Want to die? Amidst screams and chaos, the air raid shelter fell into complete disorder, countless pairs of blood-red eyes like pools of blood on the ground, reflecting countless insane, mindless faces. They began to kill each other. Several frail women and young children were running rapidly through the streets that had become ruins. Their shrill cries echoed in the sky. Behind them on the ground, a huge black shadow was rapidly approaching them. Fear. Fear. More fear. Suddenly, a woman carrying a baby tripped and stumbled to the ground. The baby in her arms rolled to the side, its cries gradually growing weaker. The woman's eyes widened. She quickly looked back to see that black giant shadow, shaped like a wild bull, had already raised its foot, crashing down towards her head. Whoosh! In an instant, a spear like lightning streaked across the sky, surrounded by sci-fi-like phantom light, instantly piercing through the corpse beast's foot. The corpse beast recoiled in pain, stepping back twice, its blood-red eyes fixed on the end of the road, roaring in anger. The woman was stunned for a long while before turning to look, and saw a figure slowly moving forward from the other side of the road. His steps were unsteady, waterfall-like white hair falling behind him, completely matted with blood and grime. Every few steps he would bow his head to cough, streaks of blood flowing from his pale lips, dripping to the ground. Those cross-star-like eyes showed endless weakness and exhaustion. His white clothes had been dyed crimson. In the woman's blank stare, the young man slowly walked to her side, his weak face showing a trace of apology. I'm sorry, cough cough cough. I'm late. Yuri Takashiro White used his blood-stained sleeve to wipe away the blood from the corner of his mouth. Even this simple action made his breathing extremely heavy. His body had reached its limit. Over the past decade or more, his body had been completely exhausted, and the side effects of the God creation experiment had left fatal defects in his genetic sequence. If it weren't for the medicine stolen by Yuri Kokutetsu, he would have become a corpse long ago. The high-intensity use of power these past 2 days, coupled with endless battles and pursuit, had caused the long-accumulated genetic risks in his body to fully erupt. The suppressive effects of the medicine were being rapidly weakened. That's why it took him so long just to fly here from elsewhere. But still he came. Roar, roar, roar. The bull zombie beast dragged its mutilated hooves, angrily opened its mouth, and countless thick, bizarre tentacles surged from its throat, twisting as they struck toward Yuri Takashiro White. Yuri Takashiro White stood silently in place, his eyes calmly watching the approaching tentacles. His fingertip gently curved and a panel swept across his eyes. Item selection. A-rank ancient martial arts item. Counter shield. A small black shield suddenly appeared in front of him. As the countless tentacles frantically struck down, the moment they touched the shield's surface, a dazzling beam of light burst forth, directly severing all the tentacles. Yuri Takashiro White dismissed the counter shield, and with difficulty raised his arm, pointing at the beast's head from afar. The cyberpunk spear that had been pinned in the distant ruins began to violently shake, suddenly flying backward at an incredible speed, piercing through the void, penetrating through the back of the bull zombie beast's skull and emerging from its brow. The bull zombie beast, which was about to make a move, suddenly stiffened. As streams of technological phantasmal light emerged, its head explosively burst open, and its massive body fell powerlessly to the ground, raising clouds of dust. This was the 41st zombie beast Yuri Takashiro White had killed. Puff. The moment he killed the zombie beast, Yuri Takashiro White violently spat out a mouthful of blood. He painfully bent over, and the cyberpunk spear spinning in the air fell powerlessly to the ground, as if it had lost its pulling force. His face was as pale as paper. After who knows how long, he finally took a deep breath and slowly stood up from the ground, supporting himself on his knees. After the bull zombie beast died, many blood-stained residents ran out of the air raid shelter in terror. Behind them, dozens of men with weapons, their eyes red and fierce, stumbled out from underground with wounds all over their bodies. In just a few minutes, the internal slaughter in the air raid shelter had caused over 30 deaths. These people turned their heads, and seeing the beast's body lying on the ground, joy appeared in their eyes as they laughed triumphantly. Ha ha ha. It's dead. It's finally dead. Seeing the blood on their bodies, Yuri Takashiro White's brows slightly furrowed. Just as he opened his mouth to say something, a pair of hands suddenly reached out from beside him, forcefully pushing him, who had just managed to stand up, to the ground. Yuri Takashiro White weakly fell to the ground and turned his head to look beside him, his eyes full of bewilderment. The woman he had saved stood beside him, holding a cold infant corpse, trembling. Those blood-red eyes stared fixedly at Yuri Takashiro White, endless resentment and madness pouring from her eyes. Why? Why did you come only now? The woman's face showed no trace of reason as she screamed hysterically, My child is dead. He's dead. If you had come earlier, he could have lived. Yuri Takashiro White's gaze fell on the infant corpse in the woman's arms, and he froze in place. Aren't you a god? Aren't you the white-robed god who saves the world? Why couldn't you even save my child? Say something. If you couldn't save him, why did you save me? The woman's voice grew louder and louder. Standing amidst the ruins, she looked down at Yuri Takashiro White, whom she had pushed to the ground, and as a rescued victim, let out the most heart-wrenching roar. Yuri Takashiro White lay on the ground, lips slightly pressed together, slowly closing his eyes to hide the sorrow in his heart. He lowered his head and remained silent for a long time, then once again shakily stood up from the ground, then turned around, ignoring the woman's abuse, and walked toward the other side of the road. Seeing that Yuri Takashiro White completely ignored her, unprecedented anger flashed in the woman's eyes. She bent down, picked up a stone from the ground, and threw it forcefully at Yuri Takashiro White's back. Can't even save a child. What kind of white-robed god are you? She roared again. The hard stone hit Yuri Takashiro White's back, making his figure slightly sway. He didn't look back, nor did he stop his steps. That red robe, completely soaked in blood, swayed gently in the salty breeze. White-robed god. Have you seen my son? We got separated. Can you help me find him? Another figure ran to his side, anxiously asking. Yuri Takashiro White remained silent for a moment, then shook his head. I'm sorry. I have other matters. Just help me look. Just look. You're so powerful. Finding a child should be easy, right? That person's tone grew higher and higher, but seeing Yuri Takashiro White still walking forward determinedly, those blood-red eyes also showed anger. Just helping me find my son. How much time would it take? My son is only 14. He's still a child. White-robed God. Can you bear to see such a young child come to harm? Are you really this cold-blooded? Yuri Takashiro White's figure paused. A moment later he still silently and firmly walked forward. Cold-blooded. Heartless. Like this, how can you be a god who saves the world? Seeing this, that person spat on the ground, then picked up stones nearby and along with the first woman threw them at his back. That's right. If you had come earlier, my wife wouldn't have been crushed to death by stones. In the crowd, a man with blood-red eyes also cursed angrily. My leg is broken. If you hadn't come so late, I could have become Osaka's best track and field athlete. My future is ruined. Under the Red Moon's corruption, more and more residents fell into madness. They transferred all their anger from the zombie beast invasion onto Yuri Takashiro White. They attributed all their misfortunes and sorrows to the white-robed god. Stones fell like rain, malice cut like knives. Yuri Takashiro White, wearing his blood-stained robe, ignored the curses from people on both sides, like a lonely pioneer, stumbling yet determined, stepping forward, as if searching for something. Countless stones struck his body, making him stagger. His blood-stained white robe had been torn by glass shards thrown by the deranged residents nearby. He remained indifferent to it all. He walked this way from one side of the crowd to the other, crossing half the street. As far as he could see, there were either people cursing and accusing him like the others, or a group of silent people shrinking in the back. The cross-star eyes of Yuri Takashiro revealed unprecedented disappointment, and he began to question himself. Just when he was about to fall into complete despair, among the crowd on the side of the road, a pair of slender arms parted the crowd, and a strange little girl covered in dust but with bright eyes, holding a large yellow umbrella, lowered her head and ran through the flying stones to Yuri Takashiro's front. Yuri Takashiro stopped in his tracks. Bang! The umbrella ribs stretched out and the large yellow umbrella opened like a solid giant screen, blocking behind Yuri Takashiro. This umbrella shielded him from the stones behind him, and also protected him from the knife of malice. The little girl held the umbrella handle, looking up at this tall youth covered in blood. Although there was still some timidity in her eyes, she still firmly extended her small hand and gave the umbrella handle to Yuri Takashiro. White God Big Brother, the umbrella is for you. Yuri Takashiro froze in place. His eyes stared at the little one below him and after a long while, a smile bloomed on his pale face. He smiled very happily, unprecedentedly happy, like a child who had found his favorite toy. His eyes were full of joy, and the gloom that had just shrouded his eyes instantly vanished. He had found it. Any human group is complex. Some of them may be beyond cure, but there must be some who still have the possibility of being changed. This was what Yuri Takashiro had said to Yurine, and it was also the fundamental motivation supporting him to do all this. These people who could possibly be changed were like seeds, like hope. Even if there was only one, it meant everything was worth it. What did it matter if not everyone understood him? Perhaps this path would be very rough, but so what? Yuri Takashiro didn't care. When this person willing to hold an umbrella for him appeared, everything he had done became worthwhile. The chaotic stones hit the umbrella surface with dull sounds. Yuri Takashiro slowly crouched down, his snow-white long hair scattered in the pool of blood. He reached out and gently patted the little girl's head, his eyes full of tenderness. Are you scared? No. The little girl said bravely, the white god will protect us. Yuri Takashiro smiled slightly, hugged the little girl and raised those cross-star eyes, gazing at the void ahead through the edge of the umbrella. Yes, I will. Thud. The cyberpunk spear that had fallen aside suddenly began to shake violently, as if guided by something. It shot up into the sky, instantly piercing through the void, flying towards behind the little girl. The spear tip struck in the void as if touching something solid, and streaks of blood appeared from the void, revealing the outline of a huge corpse beast before everyone. This was the second corpse beast that had hidden itself in the environment. With its chest pierced by the spear, the corpse beast roared in pain. Its roar swept through the street like something tangible, blowing away the yellow umbrella in front of Yuri Takashiro. Those residents who were still throwing stones at Yuri Takashiro suddenly changed their expressions and fled frantically. Only the little girl opened her eyes, looking at everything before her in bewilderment. She couldn't see the corpse beast because she was held in Yuri Takashiro's arms, facing away from danger. She couldn't hear the corpse beast because Yuri Takashiro tightly covered her ears. Her world was peaceful. Only because in front of her was the white god protecting her. Yuri Takashiro raised his pale face, his eyes fixed on the suffering corpse beast before him, with tremendous killing intent bursting in his eyes. The spear tip stuck in the corpse beast's chest suddenly bloomed like a bouquet, and beams of light full of destructive energy gushed out from within the spear, instantly piercing through the corpse beast's body, flying from the ground to the sky, penetrating the clouds. A giant circular hole appeared in the corpse beast's chest, the edges of the wound scorching hot. The redness in its eyes gradually dimmed, and it finally crashed to the ground, the rising dust engulfing the ruined street. Those people who were frantically fleeing in all directions stopped their steps and looked back, their eyes full of terror. If Yuri Takashiro hadn't fired that shot just now, none of them present would have survived. Play. The spear that had pierced through the corpse beast's body fell helplessly to the ground and disappeared like a game prop. The little girl only felt a weight sink as the white-haired youth who was holding her had lost consciousness, his face extremely pale. White God. The little girl anxiously spoke. White God. Wake up. People looked at each other, bewilderment appearing in their eyes. The white god was dead. Is he dead? No way. How could someone so powerful die? If he dies, who will protect us? Run quickly. If we don't run now, it'll be too late when new monsters appear. Rip. Two blood-colored cracks opened again in the distant sky, and the roar of giant beasts came from the clouds. The residents who had just escaped death trembled, despair appearing on their faces. Whoosh. At this moment, the roaring sound of an engine rapidly approached from the end of the road. Everyone turned to look and saw an apocalyptic painted McLaren, breaking through the dust in the air, rushing over like a roaring beast. Rolling smoke swirled in the spinning wheels, and with a sharp braking sound, it suddenly stopped in front of everyone. Car. A sports car. Some people's eyes lit up, their reddish eyes fixed on the car body, greed appearing on their faces. In such a situation, having a sports car would greatly increase the speed of escape. No one cared about Yuri Takashiro's life or death. Several people looked at each other, nodded slightly, silently picked up glass shards and knives from the ground, and walked towards the McLaren with fierce expressions. Bang! The car door opened and a young man wearing a deep red cloak got out of the car. Kid, leave the car and get lost immediately, we'll spare your dog life. The man walking in front said viciously. The young man didn't answer, his eyes fixed on Yuri Takashiro lying in the little girl's arms in the distance, his lowered hands tightly clenched. Kid, I told you to get lost. Are you deaf? Looking to die? Damn it, enough talk. Get him. Several figures rushed forward with their weapons, lunging straight at Lin Chia's body, their eyes gleaming with murderous intent. Lin Chia didn't even spare them a glance. His hand lightly brushed the sword hilt at his waist. No one saw his drawing motion, but a sharp blade light instantly flashed before him. The next moment, those men's movements froze in mid-air. Fine sword marks appeared on their throats, with thin streams of blood trickling down. Their eyes widened as they stared blankly at the young man before them, faces filled with shock and confusion. However, they had already stopped breathing. As their bodies heavily crashed to the ground, Lin Chia calmly swept his gaze across the crowd and spoke softly. I apologize, but I'm not your benevolent white god. Whoever provokes me dies. Having witnessed several men instantly perish, fear crept onto everyone's faces. They all backed away, avoiding Lin Chia like the plague. Lin Chia stepped forward, walking straight toward Yuli Langbai. The crowd immediately parted, creating a wide path for him. Lin Chia reached the back of the crowd, where the young girl was holding the unconscious Yuli Langbai. Though her face had turned pale with fear, she stubbornly remained, watching Lin Chia vigilantly. Little girl, may I take a look at him? Lin Chia spoke gently. I'm his companion. Hearing these words, the little girl hesitated for a moment, then nodded and released Yulilang Bai. Lin Chia supported Yulilang Bai's body and briefly examined his condition, his brows furrowing. The situation was dire. Though Yulilang Bai was still alive, the drug in his system had almost completely worn off. The genetic defect hidden in his body had fully erupted, and his life force was gradually fading. Everything seemed to be reverting to the time when Pure Land was destroyed. However, this time they had no suppressant drugs to control this defect. The only hope was to wait for Nqingyu to return with the newly developed medicine to save Yulilang Bai. Fortunately, they were already on their way. Lin Chia took a deep breath and slowly stood up, his eyes sweeping across the crowd before him. The blood-colored rifts in the sky continued to expand. 2 grotesque corpse beasts descended upon the distant city, their howls and screams echoing from afar. The residents present immediately wanted to turn and flee for their lives. "Stop," Lin Chia said calmly. They froze in place. "Just now, who threw stones at him?" Lin Chia raised his hand, pointing at the unconscious Yulilang Bai, speaking grimly. When the earlier incident occurred, Lin Chia had just driven into Osaka. Though he hadn't physically arrived, his spiritual sense had already perceived everything that happened here, including how these people had verbally abused Yulilang Bai. Some things Yulilang Bai might tolerate, but he couldn't. The crowd exchanged glances, most unable to meet Lin Chia's eyes. Strangely, though they had been so arrogant toward Yulilang Bai earlier, now facing Lin Chia, none dared to speak a single word. Perhaps this was because they knew the white god wouldn't harm them, which had given them the confidence to be arrogant. But Lin Chia would truly kill. The men lying in pools of blood were the best deterrent. "No one wants to speak?" Lin Chia's eyes narrowed. "Then, kneel all of you." Bang. An ancient and powerful tyrant's intent surged from Lin Chia's body. An incomparable royal pressure, like a mountain, pressed down on everyone except the little girl. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, Lin Chia's figure suddenly became unreachably tall. His mere glance nearly tore apart their spirits. Their legs weakened and they fell to their knees with a thud. Fear, reverence, worship. They trembled, heads bowed low, like a group of sinners seeking redemption, prostrating themselves before Lin Chia, unable to harbor even a hint of defiance. It was as if this was instinct carved into their very souls. Tyrant's wrath. "Don't kneel to me." Lin Chia spoke deeply, extending his hand to point at the unconscious Yulilang Bai. "You should kneel to him." As his words fell without any hesitation, everyone prostrating shifted their positions, once again deeply kneeling toward Yulilang Bai lying on the ground. Under the effect of tyrant's wrath, they had no ability to resist Lin Chia's commands. Let alone just kneeling. If Lin Chia had ordered them to slit their own throats, they wouldn't have hesitated. In a sense, this was truly, when the emperor demands death, the subject must die. In the distance, the roars of 2 corpse beasts continued to echo. Lin Chia turned to look, his brows furrowing as his deep red cloak fluttered in the wind. "Stay kneeling like this until he wakes up. If he doesn't wake up, then kneel until you die." Lin Chia spoke softly, then his figure transformed into a shadow of night and vanished. In the dusty ruins, hundreds of people remained kneeling beside the red-clothed figure, as if begging for his forgiveness. Lin Chia's figure soared into the sky as he watched the 2 roaring corpse beasts in the distance, deep in thought. Although they now had the heart of purification to attract the corpse beasts, the problem was that no one knew exactly how many corpse beasts had descended within the human circle. These monsters were all at the infinite to Klein realm. Now that Yulilang Bai, humanity's strongest warrior, was unconscious, and Lin Chia himself was only at the infinite realm, if he rashly attracted them all but ended up being surrounded and killed, that would be quite embarrassing. After pondering for a moment, Lin Chia had already formulated a plan. He raised his hand and pressed into the void, and 3 summoning magic circles appeared before him. A few seconds later, a green giant snake nearly 100 meters long appeared before him, along with a shadow with red eyes and black pupils, and an all-black lantern ghost. They all wore shining nameplates on their chests, and their auras were all at the infinite realm. Among the hundreds of caretakers at the Divine Mental Hospital, while infinite realm powerhouses weren't common, they certainly existed. With Lin Chia's current realm, summoning 3 at once was already approaching his limit. Number 007 Black Pupil at your service, Director. Black Pupil removed the hat from his head and bowed slightly to Lin Chia. Lin Chia nodded slightly and pointed at the two corpse beasts rampaging in the city in the distance. Kill them. Yes. The three boundless realm guards shot out simultaneously, rushing fiercely toward the two corpse beasts in the distance. Lin Chia had already carefully sensed that all the corpse beasts descending here were at the boundless realm. In a 3-against-2 situation, the destruction of these two corpse beasts was a foregone conclusion. The reason he didn't personally take action was that he had more important matters to attend to. Lin Chia stood suspended in the air, looking down at the ruined city below, rapidly reviewing the forbidden spell manual left by Merlin in his mind. Finally, his gaze fell upon one of the forbidden spells. He took a deep breath, placed his hand on the hilt of Zhang Bai, and forcefully drew it from its scabbard. He raised the blade and suspended in the air he began to slowly trace patterns above the ruined city below. As he did so, a trace of night essence flowed out from the sword marks. The sword marks became the brush, the night essence the ink. Under the strokes of this distance-defying blade, a massive and complex magic array was gradually taking shape in the center of Osaka. Mount Fuji. Pure white snow covered the black mountain body. 4 figures moved slowly but steadily toward the summit against the biting wind. Countless paper cranes flew over their heads, circling around the mountain, constantly soaring through the sky as if searching for something. Hashimi Shota, wrapped in thick climbing gear, let out a white breath. He stopped and looked back. Through the misty clouds he could vaguely see smoke rising and flames dancing throughout the city below. Standing on this snowy mountain, they were like a natural sanctuary away from the chaotic city. The city seems to be in complete chaos, Hashimi Shota said with furrowed brows. That force affecting people's minds seems to be getting stronger. Amamiya Haruki continued walking steadily toward the summit without looking back and calmly said, "In this kind of situation, it's even more important to maintain inner peace. Once too many negative emotions arise, it's easy to have one's mind corrupted. We're fine up here on the mountain, but the cities are now full of chaos and riots. Once residents fall into panic, they'll inevitably become contaminated. If this continues, they'll eventually lose their minds and kill each other. Moreover, the more innocent and kind people are, the more easily they'll be killed by the violent and crazy mobs in the chaos. In this city of extreme evil, kindness will become a fatal original sin. We don't have much time left." The group climbed up along the circular mountain path bit by bit. As the air pressure decreased at high altitude, combined with prolonged cold and fatigue, both Yuzurina and Hashimi Shota were becoming exhausted, their cheeks showing unnatural redness. Even so, their steps didn't show the slightest hesitation. Their heavy climbing boots made crunching sounds in the white snow, and their eyes were filled with determination. In this world full of sin and evil, they were the pioneers carrying the future of a civilization on their shoulders. Suddenly, Yuzurina's eyes lit up as if she had discovered something. "Found it." "Found it? Where?" "In a volcanic crater at the corner of the summit, covered by snow." "Lead the way." Yuzurina quickly moved from the back of the group to the front, leading the 3 others toward the direction indicated by the paper cranes. A few minutes later they climbed to the highest point of Mount Fuji. The black volcanic crater was surrounded by thick white snow, with patches of snow scattered near the lifeless crater like white spots. Numerous paper cranes circled above the crater, and after Yuzurina and the others arrived, they quickly descended, flying toward a particular patch of white snow. In the thick snow, half of a dark-colored sword hilt was exposed, looking like a palm-sized stone, almost blending in with the surrounding black mountain body. Without careful observation it would be impossible to distinguish it. The 4 people walked to the side of this sword hilt, looked at each other, and expressions of joy appeared on their faces. It seems the prophecy about the corpse god's guard post was also false information. Hashimi Shota let out a slight sigh of relief. "It's good we didn't let Yuzurina Tekashiro come with us, or it would have been a wasted trip. Let's pull out Funshin first. Now that all the 9 cursed swords are gathered here, we should proceed with their unification quickly. Speaking of which, how exactly do we unite the 9 swords? We don't have to melt them all down and forge them into one, do we?" Hashimi Shota asked puzzledly. "That won't be necessary. Kabara Yashiki opened his mouth, seeming to want to say something, but after glancing at Amamiya Haruki beside him, he closed his mouth and remained silent. Amamiya Haruki walked to the half-exposed sword hilt, slowly reached out to grip it, took a deep breath and pulled upward forcefully. Zongshun didn't budge at all. Amamiya Haruki was stunned, and not believing it, he gripped the sword hilt tightly again and pulled upward with all his might. The word hilt still didn't move an inch. Amamiya Haruki's brows immediately furrowed. This sword in his hand seemed to have merged with the mountain peak. No matter how much force he used, he couldn't move it even slightly. Amamiya, your strength isn't enough, let me try. The tall Kabara Yashiki walked up to Zhongshan, took off his upper clothes, revealing blocks of solid bronze-colored muscles. His physical condition was much better than Amamiya Haruki's due to years of forging weapons. He confidently walked to the sword, gripped the hilt with both hands, let out a grunt and instantly tensed all his muscles. The sword hilt in his hand still stood firmly in the mountain, unmoved. How strange, how was this sword stuck in here in the first place? Kabara Yashiki tried several times but couldn't pull it out and spoke with puzzlement. Give up, you won't be able to pull out this sword. At this moment, a wisp of blue smoke emerged from Zhongshan, transforming into an elderly figure completely wrapped in black robes, standing beside the sword hilt. Zhongshan, a sword spirit? Amamiya Haruki's eyes narrowed slightly upon seeing this person. In ancient times, when the second of the 9 cursed swords was just forged, a Kunatsukami took it and fought a decisive battle here with an Amatsukami. After the Kunatsukami killed that Amatsukami, they used this sword to permanently nail their corpse under this mountain. That's how Zhongshan got its name. Countless years have passed, and this sword has long since merged with the mountain. With mortal strength alone, it's impossible to pull it out. The Zhongshan sword spirit spoke softly. Upon hearing these words, everyone's expressions immediately turned grim. No wonder among all the 9 cursed swords that had appeared in the world, only Zhongshan hadn't left any legends, and there had never been a cursed sword master. This sword had become one with Mount Fuji, who could possibly take it away. They had finally found the last cursed sword, but were they going to be stopped at the step of pulling it out? This was too unfortunate. Just then, a figure floated out from Hashimi Shota's waist. It was a woman with fox ears, wearing a vermilion haori over her curvaceous figure, like a splash of red ink against the pure white snow. Then, let me try. Baka. In the sky above the ruined city, Lin Chia slowly sheathed on by, letting out a long breath as weariness appeared in his eyes. He looked down at the city below, where black sword marks intertwined to form a large circle about 2 kilometers in radius, with intricate patterns spread throughout the circle, creating a dizzying sight. This was Lin Chia's first time drawing such a large-scale magic array, and also his first time truly using a forbidden spell. In Merlin's Forbidden Spell Codex, this was one of the few forbidden spells that Lin Chia could currently use. That should do it, Lin Chia muttered to himself. Meanwhile, Haidu and the other 2 caretakers dragged the bodies of 2 corpse beasts back to Lin Chia's side, following his instructions to place them, along with the 2 corpse beasts just slain by Yuri Tekishiro, at the center of the forbidden spell. Although these corpse beasts were created by red moon contamination, they still contained large amounts of divine power residue, making them perfect fuel for this forbidden spell. As for the remaining red moon power within them, as long as it wasn't used for dimensional summoning, it wouldn't cause significant negative effects. Lin Chia returned to the McLaren, lightly tapped its body, and the pixel-constructed vehicle quickly disassembled. A heavy silver steel fell from the chassis with a dull thud. The steel was only about a meter in length and width, but was made of an unknown material that made it incredibly heavy. Its surface was covered in dense, mysterious symbols that looked like celestial writing. So this is the heart of purification. Lin Chia placed his palm on the surface of the steel and infused his spiritual power into it. The mysterious text on the steel's surface instantly lit up. A holy and pure aura immediately emanated from the steel's surface, like invisible ripples rapidly spreading from the ruins, extending toward the entire human circle, at an astonishing speed. In an instant, the corpse beasts that had descended across the human circle seemed to sense something, suddenly turning their heads toward the direction of the heart of purification, their blood-red eyes gleaming with disgust. They opened their mouths and roared angrily, then abandoned the ruined city and the desperately fleeing crowds, rushing rapidly toward Osaka. As consecutive roars echoed from the distance, Lin Chia, standing at the center of Osaka, narrowed his eyes slightly. At the horizon, 3 corpse beasts were approaching from different directions, trampling through the broken city like raging beasts. The corpse beasts were distributed at different locations at varying distances from Osaka. From the moment the Heart of Purification activated, endless waves of corpse beasts would surge toward this location one after another. Watching the 3 corpse beasts rapidly approach, Lin Chia took a deep breath, his eyes tinged with magical light. He opened his mouth and obscure, deep chanting emerged from his throat, echoing above the ruins. As the chanting rose, the massive magic array in the city center began to light up along the black marks on its periphery. Streams of deep red magical light converged toward the center, outlining a huge spherical form hovering above the city. As magical light poured in, the massive sphere became increasingly solid, gradually evolving into a black sun hundreds of meters high, suspended beneath the dim sky. A terrifying wave of energy suddenly descended. Forbidden spell, black sun ritual. What is that? A sun. A black sun. God, what's happening to this world? First monsters, now a black sun. Haha. Let it all be destroyed. Let everything be destroyed. Look. Under that black sun, there's a deep red figure standing. The appearance of this black giant sun immediately attracted the attention of everyone in Osaka. Even some distant cities could see the light emitted by this miniature sun, fear and worry appearing in their eyes. Lin Chia's chanting became increasingly urgent, and the magic array carved into the ruins brightened to its extreme. The next moment, the surface of the black sun suspended in the sky suddenly contracted, and a grotesque deep red vertical eye opened, emitting an eerie red light. Lin Chia finished his chant, his face slightly pale. He calmly extended his hand, pointing at the 3 rapidly approaching corpse beasts in the distance. Destroy. Boom. A terrifying deep red beam burst forth from the vertical eye, instantly piercing through the void and landing in front of the 3 corpse beasts. A horrific explosion erupted, the red light turning the distant sky blood red. As the light dissipated and dust settled, the bodies of the 3 corpse beasts had been blasted to pieces, disappearing completely. One attack had instantly killed 3 limitless realm corpse beasts. Before the people who witnessed this could exclaim in shock, Lin Chia turned his head toward 2 corpse beasts charging from the west and calmly said, "Destroy." The vertical eye on the black sun's surface rapidly turned toward the corpse beast's direction, shooting out a deep red beam that once again instantly killed 2 corpse beasts attracted by the Heart of Purification. Destroy. Destroy. As Lin Chia's calm voice continued to sound, the black sun hanging above his head became like a tireless destruction battery, frantically shooting out deep red light, killing the waves of corpse beasts coming from all directions. Killing limitless realm corpse beasts required only 1 shot. Only a few suddenly appearing Klein realm corpse beasts needed 3 to 4 shots. Every time a corpse beast was killed, Haidu and the other 2 caretakers would quickly go to collect the corpse beast's remains, piling them back at the center of the magic array, recycling them as fuel for the forbidden spell to sustain the Black Sun ritual. Although Lin Chia himself was only at the limitless realm, with this prearranged forbidden spell array and the corpse beast bodies containing enormous energy as fuel, the number of corpse beasts dying at his hands was rapidly climbing. Just as Merlin said, mages excel at positional warfare. The combination of Heart of Purification and Black Sun ritual turned the center of Osaka into a death mill for corpse beasts. But Lin Chia knew clearly that this seemingly advantageous situation wouldn't last long. As long as the Red Moon's contamination continued to corrode the Yata mirror, corpse beasts would keep descending endlessly, and the rate at which Black Sun ritual killed them was far slower than their descent. As time passed, the number of corpse beasts simultaneously attacking this location would rapidly increase. Once this number exceeded the load capacity of Black Sun ritual, it would only be a matter of time before this place was breached by the corpse beasts. Deep crimson beams flickered under the dim sky, countless people hiding in the ruins, watching the figure standing beneath the Black Sun slaughtering corpse beasts, their eyes filled with awe and fear. Who is he? Is he the white-robed god? No, he's not the white-robed god. The white-robed god has white hair and white clothes. Then where did the white-robed god go? Don't know. Could it be? Don't you think that person looks familiar? Familiar. Feel like I've seen him somewhere. Isn't he some wanted criminal? I remember now. Ultimate evil. He's the ultimate evil blasphemer. The moment these words were spoken, everyone recalled the ultimate evil wanted posters that had appeared in every corner of Japan not long ago, and those 7 blasphemers who stood upon Pure Land and shattered divine authority with their own hands. It's him. It's him. The world became like this. It's all their fault. They destroyed the Pure Land and offended the gods. That's why we were abandoned by the gods. They took away our electricity, plunging our lives into eternal night. I understand now, these monsters. All of this is punishment from the gods. Because they offended the gods. That's why the gods sent down these calamities. Before they destroyed the Pure Land, the world wasn't like this. They are blasphemers, world destroyers, ultimate evil, criminals of heinous crimes. They have returned. At this moment, unprecedented despair and fear appeared in everyone's hearts, but no one dared to step forward and point fingers at him, because that black sun hanging high in the sky was mercilessly emanating waves of destruction. Roar, roar, roar. From the city's edges came successive roars of corpse beasts. As time passed, corpse beasts that had descended in distant places also rushed into Osaka's borders, converging from all directions like a tide. At a rough glance, there were 17 or 18 of them. These corpse beasts came from very scattered directions. Even the crimson beams of the Black Sun ritual could only eliminate 2 or 3 at a time, and among the approaching corpse beasts were 3 Klein-level ones, which would require a lot of fuel to kill. Before this, Lin Chia had recalled the other 2 infinite-level caretakers besides Black Pupil, and instead summoned about 30 river-level caretakers who specialized in strength and speed to transport the corpse beasts' bodies. But even so, the speed of recovering bodies for fuel could barely keep up with the Black Sun's consumption. Most crucially, such a number of corpse beasts could gradually break through the Black Sun ritual's firepower defense line. Lin Chia stood under the Black Sun, his brows slightly furrowed. After a moment's hesitation, darkness spread out with him at its center as he placed his hand on white slash at his waist, killing intent appearing in his eyes. Since the Black Sun ritual alone couldn't handle so many corpse beasts, he would have to take action personally to relieve pressure from the forbidden spell. With Lin Chia's current combat power, simultaneously facing 3 infinite-level corpse beasts wasn't a difficult task. Boom. Just then, a muffled explosion came from the distant sky. Lin Chia turned to look, slightly startled, then couldn't help but smile. Under the dim sky, 2 figures wearing little yellow duck hats dove down from the clouds like lightning, directly charging into the densest area of corpse beasts. The next moment, an enormous yin-yang Tai Chi Bagua diagram and a murderous black blade light burst forth from among the corpse beasts, creating deafening explosions. "Ha! 7 Knight. Your young master is here." Bailey Pong Pong's voice came from beneath 2 corpse beasts. Wearing a deep red cloak and stepping on flowing yin-yang energies, he looked up at the black giant beast over 100 meters tall and casually raised his finger. Li Fire Sun Wind. 2 trigrams lit up in the corners of the Tai Chi Bagua diagram, and a fierce whirlwind emerged from the void, mixed with scorching flames, turning into a terrifying firestorm that surrounded him, instantly engulfing the forms of 2 corpse beasts. Amidst the painful roars of the corpse beasts, Bailey Peng Peng, wearing jade-green armor with dozens of shining forbidden objects floating around him, continuously fired several different beams of light, directly tearing the 2 corpse beasts' bodies into pieces. Hee. A black figure wrapped in murderous chi instantly flashed past the corpse beasts with his blade. Sky-reaching murderous blade light tore through a corpse beast's head. Mad Chow Yuan, his eyes blood-red, wildly danced with his straight blade, flying beneath another corpse beast and slicing it in half from bottom to top. At the same time, a golden sword shadow flew across the sky. "No wonder 7 Knight said this place is different from before," and Qingyu said while sitting on Yaoguang, his gaze sweeping across the city that had become ruins. "This is literally the end of the world." "It's the aura of the red moon," Shin Qingzhu said calmly. "Something probably happened in Takamagara. We can ask 7 Knight about it." "Don't we need to help fight?" Fight? Those two are already fighting quite fiercely, and with that person here we don't need to worry. Let's go see Seven Knight first. And Qingyu looked at Bailey Pang Pang and Mad Chow Yuan fighting among the corpse beasts, smiled and didn't stop, Yao Guang beneath him, but flew directly toward the red sun in the center. The aura emanating from his body was also at the infinite level. Just as Shun Qingzhu said, he had successfully broken through before reaching the human circle. The golden sword shadow passed through the enormous magic formation and flew to Lin Chia's front. Shin Qingzhu and An Qingyu jumped down in succession, their deep red cloaks fluttering in the wind. "You finally arrived," Lin Chia said with a smile. "Getting that thing you wanted took a bit of a detour." And Qingyu seemed to remember something and took out a cushion from behind him, handing it to Lin Chia. "What exactly is this? Even my only correct solution couldn't analyze it. It's complicated to explain, I'll tell you after this is over." Lin Chia reached out his hand and pointed to the unconscious Yuzuri Rakashiro in the distance. "Go save him first." Seeing Yuzuri Rakashiro's pale face in the distance, and Qingyu's brows furrowed slightly. His form flickered as he appeared beside him, his eyes flickering with gray meaning as he began to analyze Yuzuri Rakashiro's current physical condition. "Seven Knight, is there anything I can help with?" Shin Qingzhu turned around and asked Lin Chia. Lin Chia thought carefully. "Actually there is.